So just when we thought we were done, turns out, not quite. Hello everyone, this is Dwayne with Edge of Nowhere Farm, and we're coming to you today. It is April 19th, 2020. So here we are, it's a beautiful morning. We've actually had a spring here in Arizona, and Lori and I are so thankful because it's given us an opportunity to get a bunch of trees into the ground that we didn't think we would actually have time for. Typically this time of year, we're running into 90 plus 100-degree days, and that's just way too hot to get trees planted in the ground. And we did get a bunch. You'll see those in the back or behind me here. However, I was talking to Reed yesterday, just trying to give him an update on the trees that we still need and kind of coordinating all of that. And he let me know that he had a bunch of trees for us. So we're scrambling right now. We went to his place this morning and picked up a few more trees. So let's go ahead and take a peek real quick at what we need to try to get in the ground today. Okay, so you can kind of see the haul. We've got 19 trees that we picked up from him, including this black mission here on the ground. So we've got several different trees and varieties in here. I know we've got peaches, we've got a couple of hybrids in here, we've got an almond in here, we've got some pears in here. So we've got a whole lot of trees in here that we need to hurry up and get into the ground. So what we're gonna do today is Lori and I are gonna go full bore, and we're gonna bring you along with as much as we possibly can. But the reality for us today is these need to have their permanent home and they need to get their feet into the ground. So I'm gonna go ahead and link the video here where we showed you how we planted almost every tree that we're getting in the ground today. Well, all the trees going in the ground today will be planted the exact same way. That was actually our Florida Prince peach tree. So I'll go ahead and link that for you. So if you want to go back and see all of the steps, not only that we're doing today, but maybe a few that we may not get on camera today, you'll see what that process is. However, we did want to show you today how we're going to get these 19 trees into the ground. So what Lori and I need to do is go ahead and figure out where all these are going to go, log them on our spreadsheets. As soon as we're done, we'll come back to you. Okay, so we are ready to go. You can see we have our trees here. Real quick, we've got peaches right up front. I think I might have mentioned this in one of the other videos, but we do have two different types of rootstocks. So we've got 4 peaches here that are all the same variety, 4 peaches here that are all the same variety, but on different rootstocks. So we're gonna test out, see which one does better. If one just fails miserably, which I doubt, we'll swap them, but in the end, I think it'll be a good test. And it's kind of hard to pick up, but we've got 2 almond trees in the very back. Same thing there, one on one rootstock, the other on another. So we've got some work to do. What Lori and I are gonna do is we're gonna come through, use the auger, get the holes actually dug, and then we're gonna come back in quick succession and get these trees into the ground. Now it's just time to get to work. Lori, you ready?
Ready.
I'm ready. Ready, set, go. Okay, so we got that done. Laura and I both have blisters started, so we know the day's going well. Either way, what we need to do now is we need to go ahead and get these trees down into the hole. So we're gonna go one by one, make sure we got enough space. One other thing I want to point out real quick, if Lori slides in, I've had a few people ask us, you know, do you make a perfectly round hole? And I've heard that's not good. Now, I don't know, I think there's some debate about that. I'm not super concerned about it, but one of the things that I do with that auger, we go straight down first, and then what I do is I come around at an angle. Not only does it pull this side out, so it's wider than the pod, but it also digs down, especially down towards the bottom of this hole. There's actually kind of some cavities that you can see it here, some cavities that it actually starts to dig out. So while it looks like this is just the same size hole all the way around, down here where the roots are coming out, you can see there's already a cavity dug, and it's very inconsistent as you go in throughout. So it's not a perfectly round hole. I just wanted to clarify that. Either way, Lori and I need to go ahead and get these trees into their home location. So we're gonna go ahead and do that one by one. Okay, so you can see we've got all these essentially in their homes now, about to get their feet planted. One other thing I want to point out, we did talk about it in that first video, so definitely reference that if you want to know what other steps we're going to be doing here. But we do want to make sure that the root crown is nice and high. Now, these are recently transplanted into these 5-gallon pots, so there's a sleeve that's right here that originally encompassed the rootstock and then of course the grafted tree. So what we want to do is make sure that wherever the root flare is, so where it's going to establish, is above grade. We want to make sure we are not planting too deep. You can fix it if you plant it too high, but you can't fix it if you plant it too deep. So I think we look pretty good here. One other thing that we do is we do kind of angle these a little bit as we're planting to make sure that it's about as straight as it can be as far as the tree trunk. This will be the tree trunk. We will stake these, but we don't want to have to pull these newly grafted trees one side to the next. We want to make sure that all we need to do is basically just hold it in place and keep it stable in the wind. So what Lori and I are going to do, we're going to go ahead and get these watered in. Like I said, reference that video that we did a little bit earlier this month, showing you each one of these steps, but we need to get these in the ground and settled here this morning. So we're going to do that, come back to you. Okay, so we are done. At least we're done on this side. So you can kind of get a glance back at our western orchard here. Lori and I just did a count. We've got 9 more trees to go on this side. We know we end up here with a few nut trees that we haven't decided on, so those may be a couple years. Either way, it's coming along really, really well. So all those are staked in, watered in. Now what we need to do is slide over to the east orchard. We've got 7 more trees to put in the ground. Okay, so here we are. We've got these in the ground. I wanted to take a quick break before we wrap this up and get these completed. This is our Black Mission fig. So we just picked this up today, obviously from Reed. We have not had a Black Mission. We tried that on the other property and we wound up with 2 brown turkeys. So thankfully, we know that we have the right one this time. So we finally have a Black Mission fig. One thing I want to point out, we've talked about it a little bit before, and I mentioned it earlier in this video. When it comes to your planting depth, when you're looking at trees that are grafted, so behind me we were planting pears, Asian pears and regular pears. Those trees are grafted, so you need to make sure that your root crown from the root stock, which is where it flares out, we talked about that, And also, of course, the grafting point is above soil level. You want it higher than the soil level. Now you'll notice this fig tree is actually lower. The reason why is this is actually grown from cuttings. So this tree can be at ground height. It could even be below height. Now I'm still right above, it's kind of hard to make out. I'm just above ground height with this, but it's much lower than the rest of the trees that we're planting today. So just wanted to point that out when you're planting your fig trees. Planting depth not quite as critical. Now you still want to make sure it's above or at grade. It's going to help it because it's going to sink, and it's going to actually help the growth of the tree. It's not having to put out roots from basically that trunk that you're bearing. Either way, wanted to point that out real quick. We're going to go ahead and get the rest of these trees planted and come back to you. So we are done. So you get a shot over here with what we got planted today, and I think where we're gonna wind up finishing the eastern orchard off for this spring. Now there's a couple things we still need to do. We're at lunchtime here, so we're gonna head in and eat, but there's still a couple more things we're gonna work on here over the next couple days. The first thing we're gonna do is make sure we get our rabbit protection cages around these guys, and we are gonna put some wood chips inside that and immediately around these trees, so we can make sure we can do a nice heavy watering and keep soil moisture around the tree itself. I can already see we're going to be about 80 degrees today or so, and these trees are going to possibly struggle just a little bit if we don't keep them nice and moist and cool for today. So we've got that to go. We also need to dig our small rings and channels to connect to our irrigation. So again, that'll be our project this week to go ahead and finish these up. Now, timing, I just need to clarify. Third week of April here in Arizona is not the best time to be putting trees in the ground. Now, we're out here in Whitman, we're about 5 or 6 degrees cooler than you would be in town. So if you're in the Phoenix area, you're gonna be a little bit warmer than we are. So it really challenged putting trees in the ground this late in the season. However, Reed thinks we're gonna do okay. So either way, these trees are in, and I think we actually are finally done planting for the spring. So just want to thank you for joining us today. If you haven't done so already, subscribe to the channel. Questions or comments, leave those in the comment section down below. Instagram and Facebook, we post content there you won't see here on the YouTube channel. And our Amazon shop, I'll leave a link down in the description. That's a free, painless way to help support the channel. If you start with that link, it doesn't matter what you buy, you help to support us here. So just want to thank you for joining us today and remind you, if we can farm on the edge of nowhere, so can you.